And again, my name is Amy Bandy Taylor. I have been with Microsoft for about 2 years now, and I live just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And so I'm not actually too far from y'all. All right, we are going to get started. Please feel free to put any questions or comments in the chat as we go, and I'll try to answer those while we're doing my demo. And then a couple of people mentioned Loop in the chat, which I was really excited to see. And we're actually going to talk about Loop in OneNote today. So adding on to all that greatness that you learned this week. All right, so the first thing is, and if you have OneNote and you have it open and you want to follow along with what I'm doing, please feel free to do that. I'll try to go fairly slow so you can keep up with me. I know I'm originally from Connecticut, so I'm a northerner and I talk really, really fast most of the time, but I will try to keep it slow today. Okay, so the first thing, I have my OneNote page here. I actually have two tabs at the top. So think of OneNote, and I'm probably going to age myself here, but you remember in the 80s, early 90s, when we all used trapper keepers at school? Think of OneNote as your digital trapper keeper. And so you can create sections and then pages within those sections. And so at the top, what you see are my sections, and you can have multiple OneNotes. So over here on this side, let me start here. This is where all the OneNotes that, then you're actually looking at my Microsoft tenant. These are all the OneNotes that I have access to. Amy at Microsoft is my default one. It's the one I use for all my other stuff. And then all these other ones are just OneNotes that people have added me to or given me permission to be part of. But today we're working in this one at the bottom that's called Demo that I've created just for today. So the first tab that I have open is called How to Use OneNote. And then I have a second tab that's called What's Next. And actually here are a bunch of resources that I'm going to share with you later to learn more about OneNote. But you can easily create new tabs just by clicking this little plus sign. And so when I do that, it creates a new section and I can just rename it. New tab. You can rename them whatever you want. And then when you have your sections created, like I have here, you'll see I notice I have a bunch of pages on the side. So you can create new pages just by clicking this Add Page button. And so then you can, when you put in the title of your page over here, it will automatically change what it says over here. It says untitled page. If I put demo page, you see it automatically started renaming it over here. And another great feature that I love to help organize my pages, especially when I have a lot of pages, is you can actually sub-page. So I can move this over slightly, and then it becomes a sub-page under Copilot AI Strategy, and I can actually click that little caret to reduce those or kind of minimize them and hide those pages. So that's a great way if you have a lot of pages and you're trying to clean it up a little bit. I know sometimes I get out of control with all of my pages, and so I just make subpages, organize them, and then hide them until I need them. So that's a cool little feature there. Let's see, we're going to go to this page here. So some other things you can do with once you have some content on your page. I'm going to expand this out a little bit. So you can format the content that you put on your page in a lot of different ways. So up here at the top in this home toolbar, you'll notice that there's a lot of formatting options there, very similar to what you would see in Word or PowerPoint. So you can bold and italicize, change the color of the font, do some highlighting. So however you want to format your text, whether you want to make I go down here. Oh, I hate bullet points just because it does that. All right, up here, I'm going to put title. And so if you want to change how that looks, you can actually make that a heading. Let's remove that. Remove that highlighting there. And so you can make that a heading. You got a bunch of different options here, page title, quote, whatever you want to use, you can do that formatting there. Then the other thing that you can do, which I think is really cool, and I use this a lot, is you can add tags to your topics here. So you can add a little checkbox, which I find really helpful when I'm making a list. Oh, this is gonna, let me remove this highlighting. Checking it twice. You know what time it is? Almost Christmas. So you can make, and then you can just check these as you go through your the task list or whatever it is that you're creating there. You can create, there's a tag for marking something as important, which is going to add that little star icon. Make that bigger. If I click the little drop down here, you can see these are all the different tags that you can apply to your content. So, you know, checkbox. I love this little send an email, little, looks like an airplane emoji, an address, contacts, all of this cool stuff. Critical. If something is really important, you put a little exclamation mark next to it. So you can do apply all of those tags. You can flag things for Outlook tasks. So the other day I talked about Planner and adding tasks to Planner from Outlook. So very similar. You can do that from here as well. You can email a whole page to somebody if you wanted to share some information with them. I'm going to jump down here to this next page so I can show you meeting details. So meeting details is awesome, especially if you are taking notes for a meeting in OneNote. So if I click the meeting details button, this is going to pull up a list of all of the meetings that are on my calendar. So I'm just going to grab one, this one right here. So this is actually, and I'm going to close this pane. This is actually a demo meeting for something I was doing this morning, so it's not real data. But you can see it adds the title of my meeting, the date and time of my meeting, a link to the actual Outlook item. If I click this little caret, I can see the invitation, so what was in the body of that meeting. It was just a Teams meeting. And then I can also see a list of the participants, and I get those check marks there too. So if I want to keep track of who was in the meeting, so as people join the meeting, I can just say check, yep, that person's here, that person's here. And then you have a way of tracking who was in the meeting. And then lastly, you have this note section at the bottom where you can just keep notes for the meeting. And you can type whatever you want to. And then when you're done with this, you can email the page to those folks, or you can share it with them. But that depends on if you want other people to have access to your OneNote. So those are a couple of cool features. We also have the dictate feature. So if you, as an accessibility tool, or maybe you're just being lazy and you don't want to type, you can dictate what you want to say in OneNote, as well as transcribing that audio. Copilot is a whole different ball of wax, and I'm going to get to that toward the end, but just know we do have Copilot in OneNote as well. Let me check I see some stuff in the chat. What does it look like to an outside person if you email a page? Would they need anything special to view it? I believe it just sends it as a like a PDF document. And that's not working for me today. Oh wait, nope, there it goes. It just opened it up. Actually, it puts all of that information in the body of the email. So here, let me pull this up for you. I don't use this feature very often, but here you can see it just put all of that content into the body of the email. So it's not like a way to collaborate. It would just be sharing of content. If you really want to collaborate with somebody, I would use Loop, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And you add notes to an agenda Word document that was shared in the meeting details if you drop it into notes like this. Not exactly sure what that means, Mary. Maybe you could add a little context to that. I'm not sure what you mean there. Sorry. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is immersive reader and translator. So these are some very powerful tools within OneNote. So the first thing, immersive reader. So I I had Copilot last night create me a poem about the University of Alabama. And so that's what you can see here. And I will share that with you later because it's really good. But if I go to the View tab, I have the immersive reader icon right here, where I can actually open this up and it will read what is on the page to me. So this is really great, especially for more for K-12 younger students who are learning to read. Immersive reader is a great tool for that. But even if you have some for disabilities, if you have some trouble seeing the screen, you could actually just have the immersive reader tool read it to you, which is a pretty cool feature. The other tool that we have is the translator tool. Again, really great tool that you can use to translate whatever you type if you need to share it with other people who speak a different language. So basically what you do is you come here to the translate tool. It's right up here at the top. You can translate either selected text or translate the whole page. I'm going to select translate the whole page, and you'll see the translator tool opens up here on the side. And I'm going to jump to the page here, and it's going to auto detect the language and change that to Spanish. And then I just go ahead and hit that translate button. And there you go. Look how fast that happened. And so there is my poem now in Spanish, and you can even see the text over here. It changed it to Spanish as well. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit the back button, the reverse button, to change that back to English. But how cool is that? Can you see that being useful in your everyday work? Being able to translate information and then share that with others? All within OneNote. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is templates. So this is really fun. Let me go back to my home tab here. Actually, sorry, it's in the insert menu. So in the insert menu, you'll see over here on the side, there's a button for page templates. And if I click on that, you can see a couple that I've used before. So I have this detailed lecture notes, history class notes, lecture notes, and study questions. But I'm going to go ahead and hit the page template so you can see there is a myriad of different choices here. So I'm going to go ahead and open some of these so you can see. So these ones over here are kind of the academic side of things, talking about lecture notes, things like that. But then you have these blank ones that are just, they basically change the look of your page. So these ones will put the background of all these different colors. Let's see, that's a project overview, some detailed meeting notes. I'm going to go ahead and click on that one so we can see what that looks like. So here you see that the meeting, it automatically adds all of this context for you. So you can type in your meeting notes, your attendees, announcements. You can basically take notes for your meetings using this specific template type. And there's plenty of other ones if you want to go in and play around and see what else is there. And then you can actually set a default template type for your pages as well if you wanted to. All right, so that's how you create a template. Let's see. All right, now we're going to talk about some of the other things that you can insert into a page, as well as talk about loop. I love loop. So here on the insert tab, you can also insert space between your paragraphs and things like that if you want to. You can insert a table. So you can actually say, I want table this size, and it just inserts it automatically for you. And then it opens up the table tab there so that you can edit, customize your table just like you would Excel. Actually, the table banner here, menu, actually looks just like Excel, and it gives you the option to convert to an Excel spreadsheet, which is really cool. Other things, files. So if you want to add either the printout of a file or add a file as an attachment, you can do that as well. Inserting the spreadsheet. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet that you want to just insert into your note, you can do that. A screen clipping. Whoop. There, there we go. So we took a screenshot and then pasted it. It actually pasted it right into my Excel spreadsheet there. And I love that it adds this little information at the bottom. It does this when you copy and paste information too. It adds a little like timestamp of where the pasted information came from, as well as the timestamp. That's really helpful. I tend to copy and paste a lot from Teams or Outlook into my OneNote. and it'll add a little link to where I got the copy content from, so that if I need to go back to it, I can. Videos, so you can insert videos, online videos. I actually got a link right here I'm going to use to show you. Copy link. And if I click the online video, let me pull this up here, and I can actually insert the URL there and then click OK. And it'll actually embed the video right there. So if I want to watch the video now in OneNote, it's right there and I can watch it with the title and an additional link to that video. I already had it in there, but it added it as well. All right, now we're going to get to Loop. So if I click on the Loop component button up here, you can see I have a lot of choices when it comes to Loop of the different component types. So we're gonna do a voting table. I like the voting table. And actually, you know what? I don't want it to go in there. Hang on, I'm gonna undo. It's not gonna let me undo it. All right, I'll do it from here. Okay, so I've added this Loop component. If you were in the Loop session, I think Carlos did maybe yesterday. He probably talked about the different Loop components and how you can copy and paste them into Teams or Outlook or OneNote. This is a great way to real-time collaborate with others. So I can share this Loop component up here at the top. I can either copy the component, I can see who has access, I can share this component to a Loop workspace if I want to. So you can do a lot of things with Loop. This particular Loop component is a voting table. So you put in your idea here, pros and cons, and then you can people can upvote the different ideas. So that's kind of a fun way to use Loop. I've actually used this with groups of colleagues. We went and did an offsite, and we were trying to decide what restaurant to go to as a team. And we put it into this voting table, and we all voted on the restaurant that we liked best, and then that's how we picked where to go. So cool little feature there with the voting table. So that's how you can add a Loop component directly into OneNote. And then you can share. The great thing is you can share this Loop component with others and collaborate in real time, but you don't have to share your whole Loop, your whole OneNote page. So you don't have to give users access to that page, because you could put other stuff in this page that you might not want them to see, but you want to collaborate on this one little component. So that's a cool feature. I like that. Some other things you can do, transcribe. So if you want to record some audio and transcribe that, you can. There's also a record video button there, and you can embed videos recorded videos directly into your OneNote page, as well as adding a timestamp. So if you're, this happens to me a lot, I'll type something out and not put a timestamp, and then I go back to look at it and try and figure out what date did I add that information, especially when I'm meeting with customers and I forget to put dates, but you can quickly add them right from here. Other things, you can add symbols or equations. If you're a math professor, here's all these different equations that you can embed directly into OneNote. And I'm going to talk about Math Assistant in a little bit, which is a very cool tool for not only math teachers, math professors, but also for students to use when they're learning math concepts. But that's everything in the Insert tab. A lot of really cool stuff you can do there. Drawing. This is one of my favorite things to do in OneNote. So I'm going to jump on over here to the Draw tab. And so here you get a lot of different tools, and I know this can be very overwhelming, but you can pick whatever type of drawing utensil you want to do. This one is my favorite utensil. It's just a pen. And if I click the caret at the bottom there, you can change the thickness or the color. And they have all these really cool rainbow colors, or this one looks like a starry night type color. And now I can actually draw with this pen. So basically free shapes. I can write, so I'm gonna write my name. I'm not very good at doing this with a but the other thing you can do in your drawing is if you want to draw shapes, but you don't want them to look as terrible as this circle does right here. You have the option here to automatic shape. And so I'm going to click that. And now watch when I draw a circle. It pops it into a really nice, legit circle, right? You can do the same thing with a square. And if you click on the shape icon, you can actually see these are the different types of shapes that you can. Oh, so a diamond was another one. Look at that. I love how it converts that like that. That's so cool. The other thing you can do is if you, maybe it's on the next page, you can convert like text like this, like when you draw with a pen, you can convert that to text. Actually, it's right here. See, it's transparent. So I was overlooking it. But what you do is, let me go back to my select tool over here. And I'm going to select this text right here and watch what happens. Now I can click ink to text. There it is. It's not perfect. My M's a little big, but it got the right letters. So if you like taking notes manually with a pen or whatever, this is really helpful if you use OneNote on an iPad and you take notes on that iPad with a pen, freehand. You can then convert those into digital text, just like I just did. That's really great. I know a lot of people who use that feature. We're going to talk about Math Assistant in a few minutes. Ink Replay is kind of cool. If I click that, you can actually replay all of your writing that you just did with the drawing tools. I already showed you the drawing to text. So let's look at Math Assistant. This is a really fun way to use OneNote, especially if you are a math professor, like I said, or a student learning math. You can either type or draw an equation. I like the ability to draw equations, so I'm going to actually go back to this again. And so if I do, let's see, and my handwriting is not the best. So let's see, 2x. Oh, I got to turn off the automatic shapes. Hang on a second. Let me go back. All right. Plus, let's say 10. All right. And so now I'm going to highlight that again, just like I did when I was converting the handwritten to text, and do ink to math. Ooh, let me bring this. Oh, it went to my other screen. Hang on one sec. Let me see if I can do that again. Ah, there we go. All right, so here's what it looks like. It actually captured it perfectly. And then I can just hit insert, and there. Now it's digital text there. And then I can open up the Math Assistant tool. Give that a second to load. There we go. And now it has my equation right there in there. And now I can evaluate. And so OneNote will actually show me how to evaluate that. And then I can even practice with similar if I want to get better at these types of equations. So math practice. Let's see, return to Math Assist. Let me go back from the solution. You have some other options here. If you want to look at how to factor, differentiate, integrate, all these different options that you can utilize directly inside of OneNote. So if you have young children at home that are learning how to do math, here is a great way to help them learn and practice right here in OneNote. All right, now we're going to look at Copilot in OneNote. Now, Copilot in OneNote does require the M365 Copilot license. So you have to have that license in order to use Copilot in OneNote. But here you can see I've put in a list of campaign marketing ideas related to AI. And so I actually have a prompt right here that I'm going to utilize. So I came up with all this stuff ahead of time. I'm going to actually open up Copilot. And when I open up Copilot on the side there, it really looks like all the other Copilot tools that we have. It gives you some suggestions of prompts that you can try out, and basically showing you how you can use this tool in OneNote, whether you're trying to create something, understand, edit, or ask questions. But I've already got a prompt here, and I'm going to ask Copilot to analyze this marketing campaign information right here. And then identify the strongest ones and the reason why. So we'll go ahead and pop that into the prompt box, and we'll let Copilot do its things. Copilot is really good at analyzing information and giving you suggestions. There it goes. Oh, ooh, that looks weird. Sorry about that. Freaking out a little bit. All right, so here, if I scroll back to the top, you see Copilot says happy to analyze that, and actually gives me 4. And you'll see that this actually comes directly from here, and AI Innovation Showcase is exactly one of them. Video series, the workshops, and the career fair, and this panel discussion. So these were the top 5 that it liked from my list of about 10. And then it gives me information about why it felt that those were strong suggestions. It even gives me 5 references here at the bottom, and it's showing me exactly where in my content that it found the information that I was asking it for. So really cool use of Copilot in OneNote. You can also ask Copilot in OneNote if you've taken a lot of notes in OneNote, you have a lot of content, Copilot can review that information for you. You can ask questions about that information, create summaries of information. A lot of really cool features that are a lot of cool stuff that you can do with Copilot. I hope that wasn't too fast, but that is all of the features. That was the quickest introduction to OneNote you've ever had. So I want to take some time to see if you guys have any questions. How many of you are using OneNote or already familiar with how to use OneNote? Anybody? No? Did you see anything today that you might want to use OneNote in the future? Could be very helpful. I actually use OneNote. It's my favorite tool. I have it open as soon as I get to my computer. If I reboot, I turn on Outlook, OneNote, and Teams. Those are the 3 tools that I always open as soon as I get to my computer, and I keep track of everything in OneNote. And the great thing about OneNote is that it is available as a desktop client, a web client. You can use it in Teams. So there's a OneNote app that you can put inside of Teams, and you can use it on your mobile devices. So if you want to be able to have that OneNote with you on the go, you can do that. I actually, one of the things I use OneNote on my phone for the most is the sticky notes. So I love sticky notes on my computer. Those just automatically turn on when I turn my computer on. But I can access those sticky notes from OneNote, which is really helpful. Let's see. Collaborative sharing is always the notebook level. Correct. I have not, I'm not sure. Bill, you can share 1 page at a time. I've never tried to share just a page with anybody. Let's see. Copy link to a page. Is that how you typically do that, Bill? Are you able to come off mute? Let's see what happens. I typically just share the whole page. Yeah, copy link. Okay. I learned something new. Thank you, Bill. All right, any other questions? If not, I'm going to let you guys go early. I know it's close to the end of the day, and you're probably ready to go home anyway. So any other questions, please feel free to ask either in the chat or come on off mute. Join me.
Hey, Amy, I have a quick question for you. You're still
Sure,
there.
Michael. Yeah.
We sometimes will use the kind of embedded OneNote that's in like the Teams meeting note thing.
So
Does
I
that
don't think
function
that's
any differently, or is
there.
that
So I don't think that's actually there anymore.
okay?
So they've actually did some upgrades, some enhancements to the note-taking features in Teams meetings. And it's now actually a loop component that you can create notes for. Unfortunately, it's not available in the education tenant. So when you go into Teams, if you go into a meeting today, if you look for that notes uh, icon or button, it's actually not even there anymore.
Okay.
They're
Actually,
working on bringing that back.
I guess in this case we've actually added the notebook to the general
Oh,
channel.
okay. Oh,
Um,
yes.
does that function the same way? Is that just kind of another window into it, or are there any gotchas with work? We've seen sometimes that when we try to move pages around, it gets a little out of sync and gets a little quirky. Are there any
Hmm.
best practices for working with it embedded in Teams that way?
I haven't actually used it that way myself, so I can't tell you. I don't know. But
Okay.
I can ask somebody who may be more of a OneNote expert than I am. OneNote embedded. Hang on, I'm just writing a note in Teams. Um, hmm, okay, I will ask about that. Not too sure. Sorry if I missed this, but can put a loop in a OneNote. Yes, you actually can. And I did show that a few minutes ago, but I'm happy to do that again. Where'd my loop? Here it is. So right here, you actually see it's loading there. Here's my loop component that I added right here. But you can add loop components, anywhere. You can add, you go to the insert tab if you're looking for the loop component, and you actually see the button right there. And you can insert all these different types of loop components in your OneNote. So yeah, I love using loop in OneNote. That's one of my favorite things to do as well. Um, will the WPA version of OneNote is it going away?